So, was it successful? Absolutely. By any metric, any measure, it was successful. Here's what I would say. I've always felt like spring football could succeed because there is such a thirst, such an appetite for football. If it is in your face, if it is done well enough, you will usually watch. There will be enough people watching on TV. I don't know if the attendance is ever going to be great. And I don't think that you're suddenly going to see people breaking down Seattle Dragons play calling. I do think, though, that kind of like lower tier bowl games, people watch because it's football and it's on their television at the proper time. And if you provide football on easy to find places at the proper time, people will watch. People watch Tuesday night MAC football without knowing anybody in there. They watch the Boca Raton Bowl. They watch the Sun Bowl. They watch the Belk Bowl. It doesn't matter. They'll watch. And I think that's what we have here. The football I didn't think was great. I thought it was actually worse than what the Alliance got to last year. I thought week 1 of the XFL was clunky, was a little roughshod. It was not quite as polished and as solid as the Alliance was by the time they got into a rhythm last year. But it'll get there. It'll definitely get there. What I thought they did really well was they packaged it much better than the Alliance. There were times watching the Alliance last year where it looked like JV football. Not the football itself, but the coverage. The announcers, the broadcast, the graphics, the stadium. The whole thing just at times looked JV. And when you have games online only, and you have an app that doesn't really work that you're promoting, and nobody really knows what the app is about, and you have a broadcast team that may or may not be asleep, or you've never heard of them, or there's games on just the NFL Network, and it feels like maybe they're in tape delay, or they're in a soundstage, they're not at the game. Those things matter. And what this weekend showed was, you put it on ESPN, and it looks like an ESPN game. You put it on Fox, and it looks like a Fox game. That matters. And so anybody that thinks that this league is better than the Alliance, I think is incorrect. I think it's packaged better than the Alliance, and so people think it'll be better than the Alliance. I think the gameplay itself is the same. I don't think the talent level is much better. In fact, if you go down, up and down the talent in terms of the depth chart, these are the same guys and or maybe a little bit worse than played in the AAF. But it was packaged well, and most importantly, when you're carried by ESPN, the people at ESPN will say that you matter. When you're not on ESPN, the people at ESPN will say you don't matter. Witness hockey. With the NHL, people at ESPN say the NHL matters. When they don't have the NHL, suddenly hockey doesn't matter. They're doing the same thing here. On Saturday and Sunday, you have this world of ESPN influencers and talking heads tweeting about XFL. And they didn't do it last year. And you have this kind of army of voices that shape our opinions that were talking all weekend and covering the XFL, and they didn't do the Alliance last year. And that matters. And because of that, today, there's going to be more of the narrative that this was a wild success than what the Alliance dealt with last year. And I would also say this. The success that they had yesterday and Sunday, or yesterday and Saturday, might just be a week. You know, that's not necessarily what we see week 9 or week 10 if they get there. But I think this can work if they have the stomach and they have the appetite to take some losses. It's packaged well. It looks good. It'll be covered well by those media outlets. And people want spring football. So it can work. You just have to have the stomach. Vince McMahon has to have the stomach to lose money, which dodgy Tom Dundon didn't do, and I'll forever think that he was bought out by the XFL because it just makes too much sense. But if Vince has that stomach, this can work. I'm absolutely confident of that.